Hey, welcome to the Restoration Soul Care Podcast, where we have honest conversations about faith, neuroscience, and hope. I'm Michael Camber, a relationship and recovery coach.
And I'm Nick Buddha, a mental health and relationship coach. If you feel stuck in shame, addiction, or pain, you don't have to face it alone. Join us for some real stories, real tools, and a real path forward. Let's dive in.
Well, welcome back. Nick and I back in studio after a long hiatus. I tried out several people to replace you. We called them guests. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But no, we've had a couple guests on in the meantime. We've tackled some other stuff, and I think it's been really great. I've missed you dearly. Obviously, this morning or last night, you were like, "Are we recording online or in studio?" And I said, "In studio."
Yeah, well, I like being here when we can. Yeah, I miss being here, missing the spot. I feel like, again, we just mentioned it. We've had some frustration with technology, so we've tried to put a couple episodes out together, but
we're
learning.
Yeah, we recorded a full episode. This one we're about to redo from scratch.
Technically, there was 3 in question, right? And 2 had to do with audio issues.
So far.
Actually, all 3 were audio issues.
Well, the last one we were about to re-record, this one just didn't record. No video or
so
audio.
it just kept
nothing.
getting worse.
So,
and that's why today we're going to talk about pain.
because we're in it.
Because it's part of life.
It's causing us pain, yeah.
Oh, man, which is actually really good. Let's lay some really easy groundwork here. So I've heard you say, and I've heard others say, that really porn is not the ultimate issue of your struggle.
Right.
And I would immediately say, or I would look back when I was first entering recovery and being like, what are you talking about? Like, I struggle with porn. That's what's causing all the disaster in my life. That's what's blowing up my marriage. That's what's compromising my integrity. So, like, what do you mean that porn's not the ultimate issue?
Yeah, it's kind of like, think about like a volcano erupting. When the magma, is it magma when it's underground and it becomes lava when
we need a fact checker.
We need a fact checker. Allie, you're not
Allie.
Something like that. After it erupts, like the lava on the outside of the volcano after the eruption, the smoke, the pyroclastic cloud.
Whoa, you just dropped that in there. I
dropped it. Check it out.
Okay.
Splagna. Like, we think, because that's what we see, that's what we notice, that's what touches things and does all the damage. And so oftentimes we go, lava bad, volcanoes bad. The pyroclastic cloud is the smoke that is toxic because it's full of sulfur and it suffocates, basically.
Yeah.
And yes, that's a problem. But the problem was that underneath all of that, underneath the volcano on the inside, under the earth, the molten magma had no way to depressurize, and there was no outlet for it to vent itself. So it pressurized, it built up, and then after a while, big
which even goes into
damage.
like tectonic plate movement and all this other under the surface type. Man, this makes me think too. This is one point where I think the church has... Big C, right? So the church could learn a little bit, and that is seeing this underlying issue. Mm-hmm. And so, sorry, I got like 5 thoughts going around. I'm just super ADHD this morning.
Do it.
That's okay. I'm bringing myself. The church sees the magma / lava. Yeah, I think you're right. Magma is before, and then lava is after it erupts. I'm trying not to use a sexual term there.
Yeah. Well, I realize maybe a poor analogy here, but I think it gets the point across. Take a deep breath. All
right, refocus. Yes. So what I think the local church will see is like, we'll look at this thing that's causing all destruction. That's bad. We got to be also then really sensitive towards and overly conscious of sex in general, which is, I think, almost the volcano piece.
Yeah.
And then as long as we treat that lava issue, it should go away. And then people who are living in the church, we've talked about this in other episodes too, but they'll say like, I've tried that. I've tried to manage the lava. I've tried to slow that down, redirect it. And it just keeps going, like, it'll eventually erupt. It just feels like this pressure cooker, like you said. And that's the equivalent would be looking at this issue purely as either a moral issue or just a sexual brokenness issue. Mm-hmm. Like, you just need to manage your sexuality better.
Yeah.
And again, what we say to guys is actually that's a very poor, it's an inadequate response to this issue.
Inadequate's the right word,
I shouldn't say poor. It's only getting at one little piece of it. And what we're trying to say is actually there are a lot more significant, heavier things going on. And the proof of those things is the porn addiction or acting out or fantasy or, you name it. And so here's what we've told guys, and I want you to unpack this a little bit. Porn is a symptom, not the problem. But here's what you've said in the past, and I just love it. You're not addicted to, you fill in the blank, porn, whatever. We keep using that as the go-to. But you're not addicted to porn. You're addicted to escaping.
Yep.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you're addicted to feeling better because all of the stuff that's going on under the surface, right, in the magma zone, under the Earth's crust. I don't know, we keep using geology terms. That's gonna
that's right.
What all of the things that are going on down there that we're not dealing with, we're not addressing, don't just go away because we ignore them. Like they pressurize, and they keep expanding, and they're gonna let loose somehow, some way. And when you don't address those and take ownership of it and give those things, give those emotions, give that pressure, that stress outlets to deal with those in helpful ways, they will erupt and explode in ways that you don't necessarily feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
Right? So stress becomes anxiety, fear becomes anxiety, anger becomes depression, shame, healthy shame can become toxic shame.
Loneliness can become isolation.
Loneliness can become isolation or apathy is another thing I like to throw in there too. And when you get to those things, your body, your brain, your system, they have a way of dealing with those things. It was learned early on, very long time ago, before you were cognitively online probably. And just because you're an adult now, your brain doesn't go, oh, well, let's just deal with this in an adult manner. If it hasn't been taught how to deal with those in a healthy adult manner, it won't.
Yeah.
When you get, when you experience stress or pressure, you feel like things are pushing in on you, your body and your brain have a way of escaping, numbing, creating space. And one of those ways is acting out with pornography. It could be drinking. It could be gambling. It could be anything that takes your mind and attention off of the thing that needs a focus and attention.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It totally does. And we've talked about the noose analogy too before, of like the cycle, the rope that we most resonate with or feel in our daily life. It always begins and ends with pain.
Yeah.
But really a positive way, I love that you mentioned this, a positive way of looking at it too is not just, which is true, there's pain, undealt with wounds, needs that haven't been met, but in our story that have laid that groundwork. But you're also getting at to the point too that there are regular things, and I'll use the word needs in our life, that every human being has, regardless how good their story is, or maybe how maybe protected they've been from brokenness and wounding, that we face on the regular. And so we are operating in this regular cycle of having to have our needs met. And when those needs aren't met, we're left with the question, where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah.
And so when we say there's pain, to not have a need met in our life is a very unpleasant place to be. Like you're mentioning those, what we call, man, I'm blanking this morning.
Impairments?
Yeah, impairments of emotions, but also I would say impairments of emotion also come as a result of trying to get our needs met in a very isolated way, or disconnected way, I should say.
Yeah, maladaptive way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's why, because we've said this 100 times. We didn't come up with this. This came from Johan Hari and some other trauma and addiction therapists. That was my phone.
Hey-ho.
They say the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety. It's connection. It's relationship. So why needs? Because needs keep you in relationship.
Yeah.
How do we get to needs? Well, you have a feeling, right?
Yeah.
I feel, I need, I choose to get my needs met in relationship.
Yeah.
So it's not always linear, but that's sort of the pathway. If you're unable and unwilling to experience your own feelings, you have a really hard time getting to the root of what you actually need. If you can't figure out what you need, you don't really know how to stay in a relationship.
Yeah.
Or it's all very unintentional, and we're sort of reacting out of those early relational patterns that were formed. And if they were formed under not the most healthy circumstances, well, guess how you're going to show up and relate in relationship as an adult.
Yeah. We've talked about this in many spaces, but when we look at restoration, when we look at recovery, we are not looking at behavior management. We're actually looking at a better way to live.
Yeah.
Which is a all-encompassing thing, and that's why it takes time. And so for this too, what we want to underline right away is, man, when you are feeling the intensity of your behavior, of just being drawn back and the power it has over you, it's because it's a learned way of coping.
Yeah.
A learned way of trying to meet your own needs, and also a learned way of, what do I do with pain? What do I do with, again, you fill in the blank, any specific application of it. But pornography, we say this, it actually has made sense in your story. That's why you keep going back to it. Yes, it's been reinforced by neurochemistry, by just plain old repetition and thinking. But at the same time, there's a reason you do what you do.
Yeah.
It's not random. It's not just because your sex drive is completely out of whack. That could be a factor as a result of it, but it's not the underlying issue. And so we say to guys, man, pay attention to pain, because in that moment, when you feel triggered or when you just have this desire to act out, there's usually some stuff kicking around underneath the surface. And that leads us to a second thing with pain, which is actually it can be a gift to be in touch with pain.
Yeah.
We're not saying that pain itself is a gift, but we've talked about this back and forth too. The good news of the gospel, the good news of grace, is that a lot of the brokenness that we experience, whether it was done to us or we've brought it upon ourselves, it's not the final verdict of our life. And it's we are not a victim to it. I think about passage of scripture that we are more than conquerors in Christ. And that can be obviously applied to our sin struggle, but it also can be applied to the reality that we live in this world that is not functioning the way it should.
Yeah.
What would you say a little bit more about that? Just this idea that pain can actually be an opportunity. It can be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Well, I want to clarify something because you brought this to my attention last night. When we talk about pain as an opportunity, I want to be careful, because what I'm not saying is that, like, if you've experienced some like major big T trauma in your life, I don't want to call that good and say, suck it up, buttercup, let's deal with it. Yeah. Because that's one, that's insensitive, and two, I think that's not exactly accurate. I think post-fall, part of the redemptive arc of Christ's work in the world is that we can have, one, we have distorted relationships with our pain because of the fall. And by that, not to get in the weeds here, but like in the garden early on, like, did Adam ever stub his toe? Did he ever grab like a thorn bush or something while he was planting roses? Like, did that objectively cause pain? Probably. So some pain probably existed before the fall. Emotional pain, maybe not so much. I don't know. But now, post-fall, when we experience pain, I think the beauty of the gospel is that it invites us to look at our pain differently. Like, there's a redemptive element to it now. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you will experience pain. Yes, you will experience some traumas, but you're not stuck. You don't have to be stuck. Pain, trauma does cause stuckness, but the beauty, I think, of what Christ is inviting us to is that we don't have to stay stuck there. Yeah. And I'm trying to be sensitive how I say that, because pain, trauma are incredibly difficult and incredibly nuanced to try to navigate and deal with and work through. So I'm not saying that this is easy. I'm not trying to paint that picture. But I think what James chapter 1 offers us is the opportunity to view our pain differently. Rather than say, I'm experiencing pain and difficulty in life or frustration, this is working against me. If we take that posture, well, of course, the response is, how do I get out of this? How do I get away from it? How do I escape it? Like we talked about, we have a way that we can escape it. Yeah. Pornography, any sort of addictive or compulsive behavior that sort of pulls us away from it. Yeah. Rather than, I think what James is inviting us to is to see our pain as an opportunity, meaning, how does this thing work for me? I'm going to deal with this and experience it. I already am. I can let it put me in a defensive posture and I can run from it or escape from it. Or I can ask the question, how does this work for me? What can I gain from this? How can I make this work for me? And I think that's an important key mindset or position to take, especially when we're trying to deal with the pornography addiction, because it puts you back in the seat of responsibility. Yeah. I'm going to experience pain. Like I've acted out. I've caused damage in my relationship, in my wife, or to my wife, maybe to my family. Things look differently now. And I can sit and sulk in it and try to numb that and escape that too. Or I can go, yeah, that happened. And now what do I want to do about it?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. And by the way, the translation that I've always memorized for James chapter 1, verse 2 is like, is it consider it pure joy or consider it great joy when you face trials of various kinds?
The NLT says consider it an opportunity for great joy. Pure
Great joy.
I think, is in NIV.
That sounds right.
Either one's
Either way. So this astounding statement, connecting pain, right, with joy just seems like, how can that possibly be? But James expounds upon it and says, because the testing of our faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its full effect, that we could be, I think the phrase is like mature.
Yeah.
I think it's actually perfect, but meaning complete in our maturity.
Yeah.
Romans chapter 5, Paul says some of the same things, that part of the natural rhythm of growth is hardship, is pain. And I think we've talked about this before when we said we want to be careful we communicate it. I think you're right on, though, when you said, in this life, until we are home with Jesus, like, pain is inevitable, struggle is inevitable, and the good news of relationship with God is that it can actually be the means by which we become more like Jesus.
Yeah.
And in fact, we actually need it to be more like Jesus. And I think that's actually very theologically accurate. We need hardship. We need to be in tune with it. We need to, let me say it this way. We need to actually be united with God, in dependence on him, I should say, through pain in order to, again, grow in maturity in our faith. I think about this kind of two sides of the coin. For some guys who are hearing this too, it's like, okay, so you're just telling me there's a silver lining behind the stormy clouds, and we just need to embrace the pain. And for some guys, I think, man, it may feel insensitive because, like, man, do you know the weight of the pain? Like, I'm walking through, I think of my own story when I really honestly just kind of slid into a clinical depression because the reality of the pain I was living in was so overwhelming. Like going through a divorce and realizing sometimes very quickly the severity of my actions, like it just felt so hard. I think about another J book. I think about the book of John, chapter 11, where Jesus is about to go to the cross and make this promise a secure reality to redeem brokenness and use it for our good. But before he does that, I think he illustrates what he does for us, all of us, in the midst of our pain. And what I'm getting at is the passage of where Lazarus has died. And what's interesting, I always used to say this at funerals, sometimes I still do, depending on the nature of it, is I highlight one of the early verses of the passage, and it says that when Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, it says it this way. It says, now Jesus loved Mary and Martha, who was Lazarus' sisters, and so when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he intentionally stayed where he was a few days longer.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like, I can't reconcile those two. Like, you intentionally didn't meet their needs. You let them sit in this place that's like, Jesus, you could have fixed this and you didn't. Like, and then let me apply this to our context. You could have taken away this desire from me, but you didn't.
Yeah.
You could have prevented me from experiencing this destruction, and you didn't. But he has done this out of love, not because he, again, enjoys the reality of pain. And this is actually where I want to jump to. When he finally did come and sit with the family and he brought his disciples, before he did anything, he actually wept. Mm-hmm. So I think for us, the good news of Jesus isn't just, hey, this is going to work out for your good. Just hold on. Actually, what I would begin with a guy is saying, if you're in the throes of pain, of feeling the brokenness of your own behavior or what has been done to you, like, please know that Jesus is present first and he weeps. Like, he feels the reality of that pain. And I love looking at the original languages because when it said that Jesus type description, but it says intentionally. I forget how the NIV translated it. But basically, he was troubled.
Mm.
And some commentators will be like, well, it's because he was just sad. And I was like, well, okay, I think that's true. But then some say sometimes that word is used to mean angry. My take is it's both. Like Jesus saw brokenness and it saddened him because this is not how he has created the world to be, where death is a reality and destruction. But he's also angry towards it. Like he has a just anger that's saying, we've talked about this with anger, there's a passion for something good. And I think Jesus enters into our space with the same complexity of emotion. He is sad for us. He feels that sadness and he weeps. He's also angry. He's passionate about this being corrected and fought against. But either way, he sits with us and feels what we're feeling.
Yeah.
But as if you know the story of Lazarus, again, Jesus turning brokenness into good. The theme of that passage is Jesus said, basically to the sisters, like, do you believe? So that's the thing he was working at, is growing and stretching their faith in specifically this truth that he's the resurrection and the life. And so this opportunity to raise Lazarus from the dead was actually for the purpose of not just fixing finally, Jesus, you fixed the problem. Lazarus isn't dead anymore. It was actually to do something greater internally, which is to open our eyes to the fact that he is where life is found.
Yeah.
Not just physical life, but eternal spiritual life too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm blabbering here, doing a little overarching Bible study, but to reinforce the principle, God is intentional. I've heard one pastor say this: there's not an ounce of your pain that is wasted, or that Jesus will waste. Like every little milliliter of it, Jesus wants to intentionally use it for something that's worthy and good.
That's good news.
Very good news. So actually what we say too in recovery is, as guys are continuing to do the hard work, we say actually that pain is the price of progress.
Pain is the price of progress, yeah.
How might that show up in my day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month trajectory towards growth and healing? Like, yeah, how would you?
Yeah, it's kind of like failing upward. You don't experience progress. Another way to put it, and I just full disclosure, I ripped some of these lines from a business podcast that I thought applied so well to this that I'm translating it. They also said success rejects all first-time applicants. And that he was talking about business, but I think that applies to the recovery space too.
Yeah.
Gosh, and I feel like I have to say this so much. The majority of the people that I think are the loudest about overcoming pornography are like the miracle situations. I quit cold turkey overnight, never went back.
Yeah.
And that's probably a very small minority of people, but they're also the loudest because
and I'll say
amazing. Like,
by the way, if you zoomed out of that person, I would almost say 99% of the time, they have managed that behavior, but the tectonic plates and the pressure cooker is still happening, and it's kind of manifested in a different behavior.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, I've kicked porn. I haven't looked at porn or masturbated in years. I'm over that. But then fill in the blank, I have a chronic eating problem, or I blow up sideways with my spouse and kids, or like.
Dude, that was my story. I mean, I stayed on the dopamine high running through social media and some other things I got into that weren't pornography, so I could say I'm sober, I'm clean, haven't gone back.
Yep.
But I wasn't doing the deeper work to really get through like what was actually driving that behavior.
Yep.
But for most people, it's a longer process, and there is going to be setbacks. There are going to be relapses. There probably are going to be some times when you experience a fair amount of failure in this. But the point of that is to say this is expected.
Yeah.
If you not plan on relapse, but expect that it probably will happen so that you can plan for it.
Yeah.
Because if your mentality toward it is, well, I'm done with porn, I'm never going back, I'm just going to be sober from here on out for the rest of my life, and that's as much as you engage,
Yeah.
you're really setting yourself up for prolonged systemic failure with no chance of success.
Yeah, and we, like you said, we do this, we apply this mindset in all sorts of avenues of life. I can't help but think about this in sports. I don't know why I've become the sports guy in this podcast, because I'm like the least sports ball person there is.
Well, to bring the full circle, I'm even less of a sport ball person than you are.
Maybe that's why I'm feeling contrast. But for me, like, let's use hockey, because I love hockey. You know I do. If I'm coaching a hockey team and saying, like obviously we want to win. We want to go to the championship. We want to win the games. We want to go through the playoffs. We want the Stanley Cup. Lord Stanley. It is absolutely foolish to say, like, man, I have this view that we're going to go to the championship and we're never, ever going to let another team score a goal. We're never going to get hit. We're never going to get a penalty and get shorthanded. We're never going to actually lose a game. Like, that's just stupid. Any coach is realistic to saying, you know what, in the season, we're most likely not going to have a perfect record. Most likely we're going to have games where it's going to absolutely be a mess. There's going to be way more goals let in the net than we absolutely want. But the process of when you're in the thick of it, to say, that's totally not what I want. And I'm not going to play the game saying, well, it's fine. Like, it's fine if we lose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that. Like, really? A coach would be like, then why are you on the team? Like, what do you want?
Right.
But at the same time, when the other team scores or when you lose a game, it's like, hey, we're still moving forward. This isn't the sum of our trajectory towards championship.
Yeah.
So the same is true, again, for a guy. When we say failure is inevitable, we're saying don't get tripped up. Don't put more weight on it than there is actually on it.
Yeah.
Which is plan for, and I would even say as a follower of Christ, victory is yours. You can achieve it. And this is where it's even more so than a sports analogy. There's more control than you realize you have. But if you get tackled, if you make a bad shot, for the sake of sports analogies, we say it this way: your falling is not failure, your quitting is.
Right.
Like when you say, "Oh, I'm done," like that's it. I'm never gonna change. Like, that place is where you kind of make your home in failure.
Yeah. You only lose if you quit.
Yeah. So otherwise, actually, one of the most helpful tools, I think, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I know you've mentioned this. One of the most helpful tools for us when we do coaching with guys is, let's unpack that relapse or that
Yes.
falling,
Yeah.
because it has a lot of really good information. And in fact, information you probably couldn't have gotten any other way.
Right.
So again, it's flipping it on its head to use it for good. And though we grieve with you, like, we wish we didn't have to deal with that relapse, it certainly is not final. And in fact, it can be used for growth towards good.
Yeah.
One thing I say to guys too, and I don't know if you resonate with this, is when you're experiencing pain, that state, as unpleasant as it is actually an indicator that you're dealing with reality.
Yeah.
I know this kind of connects back to our first point about pain is the source of the issue. But for guys, when I say, if you can sit with that, like, if you can, here's that word, endurance in that space.
Yeah.
We're going to have another episode about, what do you call it? 4 principles for?
4 skills.
Ooh, skills. I like that even better.
4 skills of endurance. I'm trying to not repeat all of that information right now. So
it's okay.
Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, we won't go there. Stay tuned for another episode for these 4 skills of endurance.
Yes.
Man. So a snippet of it, though, is when you can sit with pain. Well, let me focus on this. You are actually reversing this escapism mindset. And what you're doing is saying, I can face reality and it not be the end of the world.
Yeah.
It not totally consume me. And heads up, it won't.
It won't. Right.
It won't consume you.
But you have a window of tolerance, and that's your own
Yeah.
perception of how long can I sit in the pain before I feel the need to numb it or escape it.
Yes. Yeah, and again, like we said, that pattern has been reinforced, and we're so used to. It's the path we've laid down over time, but it doesn't mean you have to.
Right.
So Yeah, another positive way of looking at pain is actually you are getting more in tune with reality, and you're able to get in touch with those beneath the volcano aspects that desperately needed to be attended to in the first place.
Yeah.
And so pain is almost the pathway.
Pain is the path toward progress.
Ooh, that's
There
some
it is.
great alliteration right there.
Thank you.
T-shirt.
Pain, path, progress. Yeah. And even just thinking about, like, when you make progress, some pain comes along with that, specifically because people won't always understand what you're doing. And it will be painful because it will feel like you're disrupting relationships on purpose, because maybe it costs that for you
Yeah.
to deal with the actual problem. I was just talking with Sally yesterday. Briefly, we were talking and noticing about the story of when Jesus walks on the water and Peter gets out of the boat. The other 11 disciples were with him on the boat. They watched all this happen. They watched the miracle take place. They watched Peter walk to Jesus and have this moment. Nobody else got out of the boat. They were all content to sit there and watch. Peter took that risk to say, you're going to think less of me for doing this, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So sometimes guys need to hear that. Everybody around you, everybody in your family, your friend group, they all might be totally fine with porn use, and it's not a big deal. But for you, this is disruptive, it's damaging, it's hindering your relationship with God and the people that you want to be in relationship with, and you might be the lone guy that goes, I'm pulling the plug on this. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And it might cost you that community. Mm-hmm. But I want to say this. The reward that Peter experienced was this beautiful, intimate moment with Jesus, with his Creator, which is the relationship that he actually needed to be with in that moment. So all that to say, I don't know what that looks like for you if you're watching or listening, but the water's fine on the other side. It ain't easy.
Come in, the
but it's okay.
Fine.
And what Nick and I both have experienced and what we're helping other guys experience is when you get out of the boat, you're not alone. Like, there's other guys on this journey, but sometimes it takes you leading out of your own vulnerability and taking that first step and initiating and saying, I want out. And then other people see you getting free and they go, oh yeah, I want out too. Or maybe they go, oh yeah, I've been out for years. Let's talk. It's not always obvious, because in that capacity or in that space where nobody's talking about it, it is just laden with toxic shame. And we don't deal well with toxic shame.
No.
Because it tells us we're the only ones.
Yeah.
And as long as you believe that lie, you'll stay in the boat.
Yeah. That's so good, dude. So good. Bringing this to a close, and I think we try to give some way to put this into practice. One thing that comes to mind for me is another thing we teach is I always think about the language that is often used in 12-step community, which is until the pain of staying the same is bigger than the pain of growth or change, then we'll never be free.
Yeah.
And one way that you have said it, and I loved it, I don't know if you borrowed from somebody else or if this is the genius of Michael Camber, is you said our regret has to outweigh our fear of change. And I love the idea of regret because it actually goes into a passage, I believe it's 2 Corinthians, because some translations translate regret. But it talks about how godly sorrow is absolutely necessary for true repentance, true transformation.
Yeah.
And so check that passage out in your own time. I won't walk through it here. I'm tempted to. But to go back to this principle, when you feel the regret, and I love the term regret because it encompasses multiple emotions, kind of like we were talking about with Jesus. It evokes sadness over loss. It evokes maybe some frustration, like Jesus, of this is not right. I don't want this anymore. It evokes maybe some disgust. But all those things are, again, our eyes being open to, man, no more. Like, I don't like this. At the very basis, I don't want this anymore. And I think guys don't want to maybe sit in that long enough. And we're not saying you need to stay there. But what we're saying is to embrace it, own your regret. Because that in and of itself is the step one of saying, unless I have that, there's really no lasting change. And the evidence of it is a lot of guys will come in and say, well, I'm here basically because my wife is so mad at me and I just want to get her off my back. Or like, I don't like the fact that I've been struggling. It's been causing some stress in my life. And I'm like, okay, but how much regret is there? How much is there is saying no more? I hate this. And that in and of itself won't make the immediate change. But what we're saying is that's the starting block. So for guys, one way to, in a healthy way to get in tune with their regret, we've talked about a couple different things. One is we've talked about a damage inventory, where we just make an accurate account to say how has this cost me? Again, what is the damage this has caused? And just to sit with that for a little bit, not to like rehearse it daily, but to say, hey, I want to take an accurate inventory of what this has actually cost me. If you can sit with somebody who has been affected by it and they can articulate it in a measured way, just to listen, not respond, not try to fix, not react, but to hear maybe a friend say, man, here's what I've noticed, and to take that in. And then another tool that I've mentioned, and feel free to add into this too, is we've talked about like a letter to yourself, where at least a portion of it is addressing the things that you hate, that you are frustrated by, that you don't want anymore, and articulating that in words versus letting it just kind of just pass in and out and be like, oh, I don't like to think about that. But that letter to yourself should also address the things that you believe is true in Christ, like victory is possible, that my freedom has already been purchased. And also it should it should also address your worth and your identity in Christ.
Yeah.
But in terms of, in a healthy way, connecting with regret, would you suggest anything else for guys to say, like, man, how could I maybe anchor myself to that honest? Here's what I always think of as healthy regret is the prodigal son in Luke 15. The phrase is he came to his senses when he was sitting around in the pig slop.
Yeah.
And he had nothing left. Like, that's healthy regret.
Well, yeah, and he encountered his own shame.
Yes.
Because he said, being at home with my father is better than being in pig slop.
Yeah.
Right? What he's fighting against is, it would be embarrassing for me to go home and admit I was wrong.
Yeah.
But that's better than sitting in pig slop.
Yeah.
And another phrase I ripped is, well, I've worded it a little bit differently, but it's, can you experience that shame in front of people whose opinions you care about? Because that's painful. But that will keep you from regret. It won't keep you from rejection. You'll have to risk rejection, but it will keep you out of regret. Rejection is short-term. Regret can be long-term. You can look back 10 years ago and go, oh, man, I really regret not doing that, or taking action then.
Yeah.
But if I go, well, if I do this thing or confess to my friend that I have been using porn habitually, he might reject me. He might think less of me. He might laugh at me. He might go, ha, you idiot, porn's not a problem. You're a dude.
Yeah.
Who cares? And that might be embarrassing for me. But if I'm willing to risk that rejection for that temporary moment, what I stand to gain on the other side is ditching regret and gaining something: relationship, freedom, clarity. Does that make sense? You stand to gain a lot more than you have.
You're getting at the health. One of the aspects of what we're using the term regret of godly sorrow is the term that we translate from. I think it's 2 Corinthians 7, 6 or 7. Ooh, 6, 7. Sorry. It was inevitable. We both
listen. You can take advantage of this now. I mark this podcast as explicit, so nobody under 18 is going to see it.
There you go.
Hopefully.
So they're just going to judge me, and I'm going to be rejected.
I'm judging you right now.
What I was getting at is shame, which we say is a neutral thing, is not the same as toxic shame. And actually, shame can be something we need, because we define shame as the awareness of your sin, your limitations, your woundedness. And man, to not have that awareness is self-deception.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about stepping towards regret, not as a state, not as a final place, but as a an ownership of, an awareness of where I'm at, there will be some shame.
Yeah.
And what we do with that shame, what we do with that sadness, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was saying, I think writing it down, sharing it with somebody else, whether it be in the form of a list, like a damage inventory or a letter, but you're getting at the point too, that it's processed with, well, you take the risk of processing it with somebody else. And I'll tell you what, your intuition of who to process that with is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And rejection is probably not going to happen.
The gift of shame is humility. It says, I need help.
Yeah.
And you receive help in relationship.
Yeah.
So healthy shame moves you toward relationship.
Yeah.
Toxic shame moves you away from relationship. It says they will reject me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take that risk.
Yeah. And even if like some of your, to differentiate, another emotion you may feel in regret is guilt. Like it's not that I need help and I'm limited. It's like I've legitimately done things wrong and I have guilt. And the gift of guilt is
freedom, forgiveness.
Freedom and forgiveness. And so, again, until we are aware of it and experience it, we can't press towards that forgiveness is possible, not only ultimately because of Christ, but that there are others that through Christ's work can extend that forgiveness to you. And that releases you. It frees you. Freedom is from that burden that you carry.
You have to feel if you want to heal.
Yeah. Thanks, Sven.
That's right. That does come from Sven.
Well, he says a little different, yeah. So we're getting at connection again, which as we wrap up this episode, we always say, do not do this alone.
Yep.
And if you're thinking through, man, we've talked a lot about pain today. The best step you could do with your pain is sharing it with somebody else. Yeah.
And if you don't have that person in your life right now, come share it with us. You can find us online on social media, on Instagram at Mike Camber with a K or at Nick W. Buddha. More than that, we want to invite you into a community of men, a group of people that you can share that with and experience that with and get help and support. You can do that through our free school community, which we are active in. You can find that at rscky.com on our website. /community. There's a button that'll click that you can click to get an invite to that. It's free. Come join us. Get help, support.
Again, a great free resource to at least be able to interact with other guys who are in the same boat that you are in, where we are doing all we can to make that a safe and edifying place. And actually what Michael has been doing lately, and I have goals to do more this coming year, is also try to provide you with some content and resources that you can engage in that school online community of discussion, conversation, but also some resources.
Yeah, I'm giving you practical things.
Yeah,
step-by-step instructions. I'm making worksheets to help you guide you through these things that we've talked about. And I also, were you going to say something else?
I don't think so.
Okay. I keep forgetting to come back to this. Another resource that I made that's free and available to you right now, you can go to the website and download it, is the Quit Porn Quick Start Guide.
Yep.
It's literally everything I wish I had when I first started trying to quit porn. If somebody handed me this, it's sort of like the roadmap to like, how do I get started? This is how you get started.
Yeah.
It's a free download. You don't have to interact with anybody if you don't want to. It's just quick, easy. Go download it, work your way through it. Hopefully, spoiler alert, it's going to invite you into community because we can't heal without community. But the first step doesn't have to be that. We're trying to make the barrier for entry to this as low as we possibly can. What's the quickest, easiest thing you can do to get started, to get free from this? That's it. Mm-hmm. Did I say the website? rscky.com/quickstart.
Perfect. Yeah, so check it out. And if anything, at least remember rscky.com. You'll find all of this there. And again, please reach out. Let us know. We also do coaching for clients actually all across the country. So feel free to reach out if coaching is something that you feel that you want to do in your journey as well.
I want to say that we work with people from all over the world. I've had clients from Dubai. I've had clients from Canada.
That's true.
I had a guy
I have yet to have an international client.
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe you'll get one from this. Get a lot of listeners in.
I'm open.
The United Arab Emirates.
In the top, what percentage was it?
We're number 74 in podcast and Christianity in the United Arab Emirates. So if that's you and you're in the Middle East and you're listening to this, thank you.
Yeah.
And also, let us know how we can help.
That's right. All right, y'all. We will see you next time.
Later.
Peace.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you found this helpful, do us a huge favor and subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Or, better yet, send this to someone who needs encouragement.
For more tools, resources, and information about our coaching, check out rscky.com. Keep showing up.
Yeah,
We'll catch you next time.